Hi peeps, it's Tersse on the old squat box once again, and I've got no qualms about what I'm about to say. I do believe that America should have went into Libya faster. The UN, the European nations should have went into Libya faster. We should even went into Egypt. We should have helped Egypt against their dictatorial state. And I have absolutely no qualms about saying, yes, we should have entered into the debacle that is the political bullshit of Syria. Today, we should have been in there 18 months ago and told Assad, we're coming for you. We're on the side of your people and we're going to blow the shit out of your army. We're going to take down all your fucking anti-aircraft fucking missile bases. We're going to ground your aircraft and we're going to bomb your fucking tanks. We should have done that 18 months ago. But then I do think that the Western world needs to realise that you can no longer do the shit that America and Britain does. When you go against your populace, like when Margaret Thatcher sent the police force against the unions. Yeah. The rest of the world should have come in and says, well Britain, if you start beating your own populace up, we'll fucking bomb you. We'll shoot your policemen on the streets with drones. And when America does that to Occupy Wall Street, when they send the police in to beat them up with truncheons, the rest of the world should turn around and say, no America, when you beat your populace up in the street, we're going to come and shoot your police officers. We're going to drop bombs on your fucking police officers. We're going to make sure you can't basically terrorise your own populace. But that's never going to happen, is it? That's never ever going to happen, is it? No, because when some fucker like fucking, Assad or Saddam Hussein, when they attack their own people, well, that's terrorism. That's a dictatorship. But when our fucking government sends the police force, or even puts the army out on the street like they used to do 100 years ago, or 150 years ago, when they chopped people down in the street with swords in Britain. Well, there was no UN back then, was there? There was no public outcry across the world at that time, was there? No, because the British Empire at the time was the word. They were the law. They ruled. And now we're telling people how they can rule. Well, if they can rule in their country and it's bad and we can shoot them, why should we put up with that same shit in our country? Why should I feel that if I go on a march for a good cause in my country, exercising my democratic right to free speech, to speak out against the government or some fucktardy, special fucking group of people who have influence on the government, why should I have to risk being beaten, maybe to death, by a police truncheon, and then have my government say that Assad's shooting people and fighting for the survival of his government? That's terrorism. But my government beating its populace in the street with truncheons, arresting people for no good cause, killing people, well, that's democracy. Well, I beg to differ. If we're going to enforce these laws on overseas nations, we need to enforce these laws within our own nations. The people need to have the power, not the politicians or the money fucking lenders or the rich. It's the people that need to have the power. Money should count for nothing. After all, isn't that we keep saying in democracies? Doesn't matter where you're born. Doesn't matter you come from a poor family. You can always rise to the top. Well, I believe that's probably true. What I don't like is the caveat that you've just got to be as bad a bastard as the rich fuckers at the top in order to get there. I'd like to be a nice person and still get there. I'd like to be an atheist who believes that every person has the rights of a normal human being. In that case, you may call me a humanist, whereas I believe I'm a secular socialist capitalist. But all those names mean nothing. What it is I'm a human being, and I believe that all human beings should be treated equal. And those who have power and money and abuse it, they're the people who should be treated unequally, because they've got what everybody's stretching for, what everybody's striving for. They're the people who have got it and abused it. And by that fact, when they're caught breaking the law, they should be double or triply punished for it, because they had no need to break the law in the first place. They've already exceeded the law, and therefore when they break the law, yes, they should be triply punished, rather than someone who comes from a poor background, had no advantages, being persecuted simply for the position in life. But that's just me. That's just the way I see shit. So aren't you fucking van, motherfuckers?